I'm here on Hamilton Avenue in St. John's with a follow-up to a story that CBC NL covered back in October, and it's the story of 82-year-old Shirley Cox, who has found out that she is going to be evicted from her apartment today, and Shirley is with me right now. So when we last spoke in October, you received an eviction notice. What has happened since then?
I don't know. I really don't.
Have they given you, the city of St. John's, have they given you an explanation as to why you have to leave?
No. No explanation, no nothing.
Because you assume it's because you're a smoker, correct?
I think so, but I don't know.
Is it possible that you smoked in your apartment and they're unhappy with that?
Oh no, I don't smoke in my apartment, that's for sure.
But you do smoke right near the front of the building, right?
Yeah, because I can't get up or down. You go and look at it and see.
Well, because in your wheelchair you can't make it up and down, that's the issue?
Right.
Has the city told you anything? Have you spoken to the city at all? Have you tried to get some answers?
Yeah, but they don't say nothing. They don't give me no reason, no nothing. They says they don't have to have a reason.
I'm sorry?
They says they don't have to have a reason.
Yeah, I think technically, according to the act that governs this, I think that they're right about that. How do you feel that it's come to this?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm on my head or my heels. I'm just in a vacuum.
Do you know where you're going to go?
They say Hazelwood.
What do you mean they?
The people that are helping me.
Okay, so you might be going to Hazelwood. How do you feel about going there?
That's all I can do. And there's going to be another person there too, right?
Sorry, another person where?
In the apartment with me.
Okay, so you're going to have a roommate.
Yeah.
And you've been living here by yourself, more or less independent, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any sort of understanding at all? Is that maybe the city's got somebody else they want to give your apartment to? Or is there any kind of reason that you can sort of figure out in your head that would...
No. Only the smoking, and I'm just in limbo.
Well, Jim Din, you're the local MHA for Ms. Cox. What's going on here today?
Well, she's facing eviction, and it's reprehensible. I had to say, in part of the city, we've attempted for months now to try to resolve this and to engage the city in dialogue, and they've steadfastly refused. We've contacted councillors, the city department, and unlike, I guess, when we're contacting the Newfoundland Labrador housing, where we usually get cooperation, we've received very little here.
Now, Elizabeth, you've made some representations on behalf of Mrs. Cox. Can you give me a sense of what has happened to get us to where we are?
After a long discussion with them about what this would cause, that it could cause homelessness, and she could lose her material possessions, and that she would be put into shelter. And I explained all of these things, as well as she's in a wheelchair and she's disabled, and it's very, very difficult to find housing for a disabled person. The law still upheld the fact that it was a 3-month eviction, a no-fault eviction, so the city has the right to evict her without any cause.
I mean, is it possible the city said, okay, Shirley Cox is one person, we have a family of 3 or 4, and we have to look at the greatest good for the greatest number, but again, we don't actually have any kind of explanation?
Well, I think in the shelter system and the housing system, as I understand it, people without housing are housed first. People with who are victims of violence are housed first, and there's a protocol, and she's certainly well up that protocol. So keeping a person housed is better than sending them into housing. And it also becomes a situation where people become hard to house, and that's something we don't want, because then they're on the street.
Last question for you. Is it possible that there's little sympathy for this 82-year-old individual because she's a smoker?
You know, I think for many of the people we deal with, that's probably the one of the few comforts they might have. But Shirley does not smoke in her apartment. I'm not a smoker. I've been in her apartment. And she does try to smoke outside, and she'd probably use the smoking area if it was accessible. And I can't help but think that's part of the reason is maybe they don't want to make that more accessible to her. The other part for Shirley, though, I had to say this, is that the part that's causing her the most regret is that she has a lot of friends here. She's made a lot of friends, and I've met a few of them, and she's now going to a place where basically she's going to be isolated from those friends. To me, that social isolation is detrimental to a senior.
Well, the City of St. John's declined our request for an interview. It did, however, send along a lengthy statement which reads, in part, decisions about ending a tenancy are never taken lightly. On November 30th, the city sought an adjudication on this matter from the Provincial Residential Tenancies Board. They upheld our termination of the lease. Connection for Seniors is working with the tenant to find suitable housing. They selected the date for the tenant to be relocated to new accommodations. The city did not make this decision.